Hello students, today we are going to start a new poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. The poem is written by Leslie Norris, explain the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. The poet explains what his life could be if he had been a free animal. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by humans for their own fun. Now we will see the summary of the poem. The poem begins with the description of a tiger that is very beautiful and is walking in his little cage. He has beautiful strips on his skin and has velvet like soft paws. But the tiger is not happy and is quite angry about being confined in the cage. The poet says that if the tiger was not confined to the zoo cage, he would have been hiding himself behind the long grass near some water body in order to catch its prey, that is the deer. Also, he would have terrorized the residents of the village around the forest area. But the reality is total opposite to this. He was confined in a cage which was helpless. There he could not show his power to the visitors, therefore never try to terrorize them. The tiger is described as being powerful and agonized by the poet. He says that during night also he is alone, hearing the voice of the patrolling vehicles of police and looking at the stars. The cage life has a totally changed the tiger's personality. The poet is trying to say that the animals, which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom, is confirmed and said due to the human beings who want to derive pleasure by looking at him in the zoo cage. Now we will move on to the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage on a pads of a velvet quaint. In this line, we will see that the poet says that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his bright colored skin. He further says that the tiger can take only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet like velvet, because of which there is no sound of tiger's footsteps. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited area of his cage. He is angry because he is not free. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water. The poet says that if the tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to state that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. Baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. In this, the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people live in the villages. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. In this, we will see that now the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just talks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as cannot attack them. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. In the above lines, the poet says that in the night the tiger hears the sound of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are in the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So, in the night the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad, and as he is confined into the cage, so he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. Thank you, students. I hope you understand this.